one of our board goals was to continue to oversee the development and creation of committees of invested stakeholders by including staff, students, parents, community members, and business leaders reflective of our community's values and changing demographics. And when we've had tough budget times before, we created a committee. This was 2011, and we were faced with significant cuts. And at that time, we did put together a committee with invested stakeholders. This time, we did not do that at all. And I'm concerned that we've left out significant voices and input and expertise with regard to the development of this budget. And I think this continues to go back to the transparency that this budget already has a $3 to $4 million hole in it. And then when I look farther down at the line items in it, we're cutting security at a time when it's very evident that we will be asked to increase items that pertain to security. And so that alone, it's maybe $20,000, and maybe that's peanuts to some people, but I certainly don't want to sit here and go, well, you know, kid safety wasn't worth 20 grand. So I'm having some real issues with how transparent this budget is with regard to the goals that we set, both for the board and the superintendent, and with how we're going to meet the things that we already know are going to come on to us this next school year.
Right. Just a question to Diane about your previous estimate of 15-year experience versus now a 5-year experience on your estimate. So you have a 12, 13, 14-year teacher applying for a job and getting the position. What does that mean? I mean, does that mean that you had to hire lesser experienced teachers for the rest? I mean,
no, it was just a number to use to budget for vacant teachers. So we're also going to have some teachers that when we did that snapshot that maybe have since resigned, they're going to be budgeted at their rate right now, which is higher than a 5-year teacher. So it was just a number to use for vacant positions.
Yeah, so you hire everybody with 10 years of experience, then you'll be off X amount of money.
Yes.
Because your estimate was 5.
Yes, but not necessarily the full amount, because we're going to have some teachers in there that at that snapshot, they hadn't resigned yet. So they're still in our plan at the higher level of salary.
Okay. Just 2 comments. For the last 10 years, I think the last 9 years, we have had deficit budgets. For the last 10 years, 7, we had put money back into the fund balance. Last year, I think that John Challenge said that it was $2 million. It's actually $1.6 million deficit in the last year. That was the previous year. Before that, the last 5, where we actually put money back into fund balance. I mean, you can balance the budget. I don't have a problem with that, but I think that doing it this way is what I have the problem with. You don't have to cut programs if you find ways to increase revenue by expanding a university prep, expanding collegiate academy, expanding Aspire. You just create chaos by doing something like this. I do appreciate Diane's team and Gemma's effort of getting this, but at the end of the day, we know that this budget is not balanced. It has a $4.7 million deficit, and we're just making an adjustment in a spreadsheet to show a balance. So we can say that we balance the budget. But at the end of the day, based on our estimates, and I respect Diane's and her team estimates, we know that, the budget is not balanced. It's just clear. Page 16 of your presentation, it has a 4.443.727 deficit budget. We're just making an adjustment, and I love that Diane keeps telling us the same thing. We're going to have to come back and make adjustments, and she has said that probably 10 times just today. But just want to make clear that that's not the way that we do budgets in this district. I've been here for a long time, and we more times than not put money back into the fund balance because we do conservative budgeting. People do their jobs at each of the schools, and then we end up usually with back without creating this chaos, without eliminating Latin, without eliminating, Mandarin. And I also want to say that, when we had issues before, we put a committee together, people come up from all different ideas, and we try to find ways to continue to service the needs of the kids and the parents without cutting programs. So that's all what I want to say. I just wanted to state why I have big problems with this budget, and more than likely I will not be voting for it.
So we have an expression in the construction industry, hammer to fit, paint to match. And that is entirely what this feels like. It feels like we are banging a budget together and putting a coat of paint on it to make it look like it's balanced, when we know going in that Diana's been presenting for 6 months, that is unrealistic. So I want to go on record as my strong opposition to this presentation of the budget, particularly given the last 6 months of presentations and the special meeting on the 6th. It is clear that this budget reflects political motivations of the majority of the board, yet does not accurately represent.
Let's not assume assumptions for sitting board members.
Certainly. This budget does not accurately represent the facts of our expected revenues and expenditures as presented. We don't have enough to cover what we're contractually obligated to pay. I believe this budget, given that, this budget presents a lack of transparency. So we're putting together something saying we're going to balance it, knowing that we're not. And it's unrealistic based on the future actual expenses. I believe our community deserves a balanced budget. Indeed, I was on the committee when we made those changes that had to happen. It was hard trying to decide. We went from block scheduling, which doesn't benefit students, to 7 periods. We changed bus routes. We turned off the lights earlier. We did all kinds of things. I was part of that committee. I think it's important that community voice is part of the decision-making process when we are ready to make these kinds of financial decisions. So I want to go on record that I think there's some great risks to student outcomes, our great place to work status, clearly reducing programs is happening, increasing class sizes, and ultimately a risk of lower property values coming down the road. So I will not be voting in favor of this budget.
I just want to clarify a couple of things. I know we have talked about this staffing report. 185 positions is around 9% of our staff. If you compare these districts with our district in terms of performance, it's just not even close. And that's basically what we're doing. We got a strategic plan, we got goals, and we went above 9% from the average to get 50, 60, 70, 80% better performance than most of these districts. I'm not saying the districts are bad. This district might be serving the communities just the way that they want it, but this is not the standard that this community expects. So, you got districts here with like 16% AP participation. We have over 50. So that's just one example of many that I can give you. I'm not going to bore you with all that. And the other thing I want to say, which you hear that a lot. You hear that a lot. Like, wow, you guys have flat students for more personnel. How come that happens? Well, it's very simple. In 2008, we had 40 kids in dyslexia. 40. 2022, we have 800. That costs money. We gotta train people. We gotta send them to Scottish Rite. We gotta hire them. We gotta replace them when they leave. That's how you do. That's what happens. When Joanne just said in the last meeting that people are calling. They understand that we give really good special needs services, so that number of kids with special needs is increasing. Our number of students might be flat, but more dyslexic kids cost more money, more special needs kids cost more money. What does that mean? That means that we're doing a good job. We are actually servicing the community. People are moving here because of our services. GT is another example. We have the best GT program in the state. Then people are going to move here. It is expensive, but we are providing the services that they need. So I have no issues with a balanced budget. I have an issue with a balanced budget in 2 months. We need to look at how to increase revenue, get committees together, bring ideas, and balance it You put it in our goals, and do it the right way. But just want to explain two things. First, yes, we have more people than the average year, but we have a lot better performance because this is what our community expects from us and demanded from us, okay? And you could have 14,000 kids, and in 10 years, increase your number of special needs, and number of dyslexia, number of GT kids, even if the total is flat, you could increase them, and that will cost you more money, even with a flat number of kids. I hear that all the time, but this is the explanation. Some kids cost more than others, and when they're coming to the district, that means that we're doing a good job. We're providing the services, and that's why they're moving into UCISD.
My final comment is, when you look at the comparables of the comps where we did our analysis too for staffing, we actually had the same exact demographics. And when you look at the results from STAR, half beat us and we beat half. I don't understand how you can justify that.
We don't base our performance on STAR.
Excuse me. And then for special ed, actually the problem with special ed is on the funding. We need to actually go back to the states and pressure and leverage the states because we're not getting funding and cost of living adjustments from that as well. So that's something we need to work on together as a board. But anyway, Shannon.